So with the last update, we have released a new option to use Counterbid event validity. So here we can see the counterbidding engine of NFT Butler. It's basically an event-based engine, so you still have to set up your token tasks bidding on different token IDs, as you might already know it. And you can set up collection tasks, which will basically send bids which are valid for an entire trade or an entire collection. If you enable instant counterbidding on these tasks, I should enable it here definitely, then the instant counterbidding engine is going to take care if someone else is outbidding you and immediately will counterbid. Yes. So this new feature now, so far your counterbids have always had the same validity or bid duration as your original task. And with this setting here, you can basically counterbid with the same validity of your competition. So let's say you can run a token bidding task with a validity of 4 hours. And maybe on some of the tokens you get counterbid with bids valid for 30 minutes. If you enable this toggle button here, your counterbids will also only be valid for 30 minutes. This has already been released in the last release, but with today's release we are going to improve this. So here we have also added some additional caching engine. So far the instant counterbidding engine only remembered what was your last bid processed on each token or trade. Now the new update will also cache your longest active bid. So once your 30-minute counterbid expires, the instant counterbidding engine will know you still have a long bid of 4 hours active and will take this one into consideration when it keeps counterbidding others. So it will basically notice, this short counterbid has now expired, my long base bid is still active. When someone else is bidding again, I will counter him immediately, again with the validity of your competitor's bid. The biggest performance impact here was whenever we get an event from OpenSea regarding a counterbid event, we had to check what was the last highest offer on your disk, which took like a few hundred milliseconds and a lot of pressure on your hard disk. So we are now caching all the last offers in memory as well. So this gives a significant speed improvement on the instant counterbidding engine, and it gives less pressure on your hard disk, and will ensure instant counterbidding is performing well also on older computers without an SSD but with an old hard disk. So yes. So with this update, it's still necessary to maintain a separate wallet for ICB. It's not necessary. You can also use task config wallets only, but if you want to run it on competitive or hardcore mode, we strongly recommend it. Actually, for hardcore mode, it's required to use a dedicated instant counterbidding wallet. But we have also done some rate limit improvements. So far what we have seen is Butler is running very well, or should be running very fine, if you set the maximum number of running token tasks per wallet to 3. So this should perform well. If you run hardcore mode, we strongly recommend to use a dedicated ICB wallet, because hardcore mode can use up to 3 token task slots, so up to 3000 counterbids per hour. And we have also done some improvements in regards of rate limits. So when you're running into rate limits, you might have seen each task checks the collection details to evaluate the current collection floor price. And this has put a lot of pressure on the API keys and its rate limits. And we have added a caching layer here as well. So whenever collection statistics are pulled from OpenSea, they are cached for 30 seconds. And this speeds up the bidding speed a lot, because this maybe takes half a second on every bid to check the collection details live from OpenSea. So now, since we are caching them for 30 seconds, most of the bids have only 2 or 3 seconds. So we can see 3-second bid here, 2-second bid, 3-second bid, 2-second bid. So this gives huge speed improvements, especially if you're running multiple tasks on the same collection. Then all of the tasks can use the same collection stats cache engine. So it just spares a lot of time. It releases pressure from the OpenSea API, since we don't have to request those collection details on every single bit, and just speeds up the overall Butler improvement speed. And it also speeds up instant counterbidding, since instant counterbidding needs to do the same thing. Still, we recommend to not run more than 3 token tasks per wallet. Then, in this release, which will be released later on today, we have a new safety feature. So, as you already know, we already had floor price caps for collection floor price and trade floor price. We do now also have this asset limit. So asset limit means this task should automatically stop if you have at least 2 or more assets in your wallets. We can check this here. So we have also added some logging here. So whenever the bid starts, and this is checked on every bid, it will check how many assets of this smart contract are in all of my wallets. Currently I have 0. 2 would be the limit, and it continues bidding. The second, or every 10 seconds, we check if your wallet has changed, and if yes, we will fetch immediately all assets sitting in your wallet. And since this is checked on every bid, tasks will immediately stop sending bits once your asset limit has been reached. And also this feature will enable us to integrate other new amazing features like auto listing, since your Butler client does now locally always keep a state of your wallets and knows what assets are currently sitting in your wallet. Very important to know again, limits are shared among all wallets. So all wallets you have added in Butler, it will just sum up assets from this smart contract. So it's not trade specific. It's just the global asset limit for this smart contract or collection. It was way more straightforward to implement it like this. We can still tweak it and improve it in the future. But most of the time, if I got a lot of assets dumped, it was on different trade tasks bidding on the same collection. So we feel like this is the most useful to ensure if you have multiple tasks on the same trade, they can all stop because you already got dumped a lot of NFTs of this collection. So it's really a global limit for the entire collection or smart contract. The asset limit is a per task. So Tokyo asks, the asset limit is for the task or for the collection? So basically it's on the task, it's a limit on the task, and if you enable it, it will only count on this task. But what it counts is it counts all assets in all your wallets of the collection. But you can set limits individually per task. So you can say on this task, I care about how many assets of this collection I have in all my wallets. I want it to stop when all my wallets have 2 or more assets. You can have on another task, you can have a higher limit. So here I have a very similar task. So here I can say, okay, here I want to have a maximum of 3, but it will count all assets of this collection slug in all your wallets. So it doesn't matter if it's on wallet 2, 3, 4, or 6 or test, all of them count. And this makes sense because you can use different wallets with instant counterbidding to bid on the same thing, right? So my instant counterbidding engine would now bid on my wallet 6, but the task is running on wallet 2. So that's why we have integrated like this to basically have an overall limit among all wallets added in your Butler. And also keep in mind the asset limits will stop tasks from sending new bits. It will also stop counterbids from processing, since when the assets limits are reached, the bits will just fail. But it will not cancel active bits. So on a CTO, if you have very long validity times here, let me just delete this. So here, if you bid for 10 hours, those bits will still be active for 10 hours. Even if the asset limit is reached, it will stop sending new bits, but those bits are still active. We are not canceling bits since that would involve gas cost. So it's in this sense, for collection tasks, I think it's very important to keep the validity low, 15 or 20 minutes, to ensure, once the limit is reached, you will not send any new bits and you will have maximum your active bits for 15 minutes. So you can still end up with more than this limit, right? Because there might still other bits be active, also on a token task, right? If you think about all tokens have active bits. So we are also thinking about integrating a push notification system. So you will get a push notification if your wallet has, reached some of the task limits, and you have maybe 2 tokens of this. You could then still go and decide if you want to cancel your active bits to ensure nothing else can be sold to you before you resell the NFTs in your wallet for profit. So the redesign is not completed yet, right? It's a huge project and we are working on it on different pages of NFT Butler, and we are addressing a lot of your feedback from the last year. Today we just want to share some details, not everything because it's not final, it can still change, but this is what we have in mind for the task configuration pages. So one thing we heard a lot is you have today, when you want to manage your tasks, you usually go like this. So I have a task here, maybe, I don't know, maybe this one. Maybe it hit some of my limits, right? Maybe I had floor price limits of 0.5, minimum 0.5, right? And the floor price dropped below what you have configured as limit. So the task doesn't run anymore. So now you have to check edit to get to the trade selection, and then here you get the statistics, and the statistics I think are one of the main KPIs how people decide what should be my highest bid price. Usually I look and see, okay, I can expect something like this or maybe like this to resell this type of NFT. I also can check how many assets are listed, and then you go back, you go into edit, and now you need to set your new bid price. Maybe you increase it a little bit. Maybe you set new floor price caps by not having the stats anymore. So you need to remember everything. And this is one of the first things we want to address, to have everything on one page, which is important when you're making decisions on how to create or manage your bidding tasks. So on the left side here, in this, you have these small buttons on the up left corner. You can either show your trade stats, so how did the collection and the trade floor price change over the past 60 days. You will also have a drop down here. So as you can see in this task here, 3 trades were selected, and there will be a drop down where you can switch between the different stats of each individual trade, and you will have on one view see the highest bids which are currently active, the sales history, and also what is currently listed for this trade. when creating such a task, you will also, you won't have different buttons for collection task or token bidding task. Everything should be in one screen. So you can say I have 3 trades selected. I will combine them with a or an and condition. You can choose if you want to run a token or a trade bidding task. Obviously, on a trade bidding task, you won't have this operator. This is only for token bidding tasks. You will have then the important KPIs of each trade, or here the collection, and you can then choose your wallet here, have all the important token bidding task settings, and we also want to show a preview of how much VEF balance it's gonna use from your wallet. Here we know, okay, you're bidding on maybe 1,000 items at the price of 2.4 wrapped Ethereum. So this would maybe use 50% of your wallet's capacity if you only have 3.5 VEF, or even more, maybe 60 or 70%. So we want to visualize this kind of limits, right? If a new player comes into the space, they have to do a lot of learning, right? What is the difference between a trade and a collection bid, or token bids? And if I run token bids, how many bids are they're going to be active, and how much will it use from my wallet ratio of my total number of bits? So, we want to help users to understand this better by visualizing it. And on the second screen, I also want to show, so everything is going to be in one screen. So here we have activated the filters instead of the statistics. So this first screen on token bidding, which is barely used right now, is just going to be a filter in your task configuration. So you can say, okay, this is my chosen trait, and I want to put additional filters. And if you do so, you can also show the token selection here, or you can just leave it empty and you don't have to click through this first screen all the time you're editing a task if you don't want to do anything here. Snipe is not going to be there in the first version, but this is also an option we are considering for the future. When we have bidding, we could also do sniping, since it's not too far, but we will start with the creation of token bidding and trade bidding tasks here. Also, there will be an option, of course, to edit your task, which will bring you into the same screen, or to duplicate your tasks. So it will also be easy to create the trade bidding task based on your token bidding tasks, since you can just duplicate it and switch from token bidding to collection bidding or trade bidding. And the goal is also to use all these elements we have here in the new Butler app, right? So you will have this filter option on the search engine, on the trade search engine, on your task overview to search for your tasks. So right now we have played around on different pages with different styles of elements, and the redesign will basically bring all this together to one style which is the same everywhere, so people get used to it instead of having new buttons and new filters on every single page. This is just another screen, so this will just be the statistics page without again, everything on one screen instead of scrolling. So this is also something you're still working on. So the initial idea was to even give you the options to create a token and trade bidding task at the same time. So here you would have both boxes, but I doubt we will make it, because there is so much different options between token and trade tasks. Since on a token task you can combine trades with conditions, and on a trade bidding task you cannot. So most probably you will just use one of the two types, but you can just duplicate it to use the other type of task. Yes, Sanchai, we are all waiting for the NFT market to flourish. The snipe option is just design. It doesn't do anything yet, but bidding and sniping is not too far, right? So if you have a bidding task with a min and max price, we thought at some point in the future we also might offer sniping. So if a token is listed within your min and max bid price, you would automatically buy it. So that's the idea. Probably, yeah, insta buy, auto buy. But it's just, we are doing design how we want to imagine Butler in the future. Not everything is going to be there from day one, but just to give you an impression on what we're currently working on. So sniping is not the easiest thing to do since you have to deal with a lot of front running, and it also depends on the price, right? If you want to snipe tokens which have a misplaced comma, it's going to be very hard to win those. So sniping would just, yeah, it's an additional benefit within your bidding price range. If you don't have too much competition, so it's within a price range which makes sense for this token, then I think, front running and methbots is not too big of a deal. But if you're trying to hunt the tokens with way too low price, then it's going to be tricky, I think. Awesome. Yes, another spoiler I want to give here is, so we are also working, on new pages to see all the tasks together and don't have collection tasks and token tasks separated. And we are also working on a bulk edit option. So very similar to what we have in Butler right now. So if you want to change the wallet or some of the settings which are the same for all of this type of tasks, right now we just have a delete option here, but there will be a bulk edit option where you can basically configure all the tasks at once for certain settings. Basically for most of them. It's just up to you, right? So if you set the same price across different collections, then you just need to make sure to update what makes sense. It's planned for the redesign, and yeah, so it's going to be very simple like this. Mark different tasks and then bulk edit them to make them all use the same settings. As you might know also, since the last update, you can now add up to 3 OpenSea API keys here. Again, a reminder, so if you request your own OpenSea API keys, then request 3 of them on 3 different accounts from OpenSea and add all 3 of them to make sure and unlock all your task slots. So to unlock 3 plus 2 from ICB, all your collection task slots requires 3 OpenSea API keys. So if you don't have 3, then don't add any, because you can still run Butler from our backend API keys. And if you have 3, then you can add them, and your Butler will be running entirely from your own OpenSea API keys, which should also be the smoothest option in regards of rate limits, since you have your own keys. We have recently seen, so we have released a video about how to get OpenSea API keys. In the meantime, we have also seen some of these getting blocked or banned already. We have tested it the last few days, and so what we saw is you shouldn't use nftbutler.io as a project name anymore. We are not too sure if they are started to ban those, because a lot of people were registering API keys with nftbutler.io. So usually we just take a random project, and what works best is you can create fresh Gmail addresses. So if you create a fresh Gmail address, then you log into OpenSea with a new wallet, which is not funded at all. It doesn't need to be funded. You should be able to register your Gmail address, your fresh Gmail address, and then create an OpenSea API key, which works perfectly well. Yes, Maverick. So what do you think about the more compact view of tasks at the token bidding tab? There is a lot of free space, and why not display 2 tasks per line? So yes, this is also something we have reviewed in the redesign of NFT Butler, and this is totally the idea. So we want to have 2 or even 3 lines for tasks. We will also have one big page where you can see all your tasks and all your states. So the idea is you will have token tasks and collection tasks all in one place. You will have a rich filtering engine, very similar to what we have here, but for the token task page. So you can only display, or for the task page, so you can only display tasks which are currently running into an error because they hit limits. So all the tasks should be in one place. You can quickly manage and update them also with bulk edit, and you will have multiple rows to see more tasks at the same time. And you will have a lot of filters, since filtering is important when you are storing up to 300 tasks. Thank you so much for participating this AMA. Looking forward to build with you guys. If you have suggestions or other ideas after you saw the new design here, please let us know in the suggestions channel. And we have one final question. Maverick, is it possible to sort tasks by name because it's convenient to see when they are grouped? Yes. Let me find a screenshot here, 1 second. Yeah, this is what we have in mind right now. It's like you will have filters here, so you can see, you know, the different states of all your tasks. You will be filtered based on wallets, operation mode, statuses, collections. So you will have a lot of more filter and here sorting options as well. And as you can see, if you select multiple of them, you can play and pause them, you can bulk edit. So this is really what we have in mind here. It's, as I said, it's not final, but that's what we are working on. Thank you so much, guys, for joining the AMA. We will keep you updated. It's also the plan to host these AMAs now more frequently. And yes, keep building in the space. I hope the NFT market is going to be flourishing soon as well. Right now, just do defensive bidding on stuff you know you can still sell for profit. These days I'm bidding on still very old stuff, but it can still be sold for profits. So I'm bidding on some NFTs and trades, which I'm bidding like since almost a year. It's still working. So thank you so much, guys, and have a nice day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and speak to you soon.